Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Friday, April 21st. We are just 6 days away from the 2023 NFL Draft, and your Jacksonville Jaguars, they're showing interest in another prospect leading up to the 2023 Draft. According to Ryan Mello of the Draft Network, Warren McClendon said that the Jaguars had a Zoom call with him earlier in the week leading up to this NFL Draft. Warren McClendon, starting right tackle out of the University of Georgia, was their starter at right tackle for a long time for the University of Georgia Bulldogs, dating back to 2020. He has been their starter at right tackle for the last 3 seasons, former 4-star recruit, so he has the pedigree there. Did have to play at times at left tackle for the Bulldogs in 2022, so you do have some in-game experience playing left tackle. Just turned 22 years old, so despite being a 3-year starter, this is a young prospect still, relatively young with a ton of experience. You like the experience married with just turning 22 years old. He's going to be 22 throughout his entire rookie season. No sacks allowed at right tackle over the last 2 seasons. And did not pick up very many penalties either. So this is a guy that's not costing you penalty yardage. He's not giving up big sacks that are costing your football team, putting you behind the chains. Those are 2 things you love to see from a right tackle. And when you just look at this guy, he looks like a mauling offensive lineman, kind of looks rugged out there, ready to just lay some people out. He's 6'4", 306 pounds with 34.25-inch arms. That's really nice arm length for his size. Did not participate in a bunch of testing at the combine. All he did was 20 bench press reps, which not super impressive, but again, bench press reps with these longer athletes, not necessarily indicative of their on-field strength. When you do pop on the tape, though, you see a guy with good quickness out of his stance, a decent overall athlete, in my opinion. Seems to really understand the angles and the leverage and get himself into a great position based on the offensive play design. It looks like he just really gets what he's trying to do on a given play and how to defeat his opponent, how his opponent's going to try to attack what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. Always looking for work, which you love to see from an offensive tackle. You want him going and looking to find more people to put into the dirt. Sometimes does very well to get to the second level and latch on to smaller players, but there are also some misses there where quicker guys are able to kind of dodge those punches and slip underneath him. That's common with big offensive linemen. And again, not an elite athlete. I think he's a decent overall athlete at the position. Again, has the long arms, big hands, has a tremendous 2-hand punch. It'll really knock you off balance. You saw that plenty of times on tape for Warren McClendon. Shows good awareness and timing, passing off games with his fellow offensive linemen up front. For me, looking at his sets, he's got a good-looking quick set where he'll just punch you quickly. And then the vertical sets, I think he does a good job of getting vertical and shutting down those rushing lanes when it comes to getting around the edge. He shut down Byron Young out of Tennessee, who has a lot of buzz on him right now. Handled B.J. Ojolari in 2022 before McClendon had to leave that game with an injury. He's gone up against some really stiff competition and handled his business. Does have some stiffness in his frame, I believe. Maybe a little bit of a limited athletic ceiling, as I mentioned. But this seems like a guy who can immediately be a quality backup for you and a potential spot or full-time starter down the road at tackle or guard. I definitely think he has the temperament and the physical frame to be able to play guard or tackle at the next level. Again, no sacks allowed over the last 2 seasons and very rarely penalized over the last 2 years. That is really going to help your offense if you can just get a guy who's not going to allow sacks and not going to be heavily penalized, right? If the Jaguars don't go tackle early, maybe you see him come off the board to them in day 3. They've got 2 4th-round picks, a bunch of 6th-round picks. I wouldn't be shocked if a team does value Warren McClendon a little bit higher than that, maybe late day 2. I value him in the 4th round right now. We'll see how it all plays out with where Warren McClendon ends up landing. But the Jaguars, according to Ryan Mello of the Draft Network, have had a virtual Zoom meeting with Warren McClendon out of Georgia here. The Jags have shown interest in a few other offensive linemen, but it's been mainly defenders that the Jaguars have been hosting on these pre-draft visits and formal visits. But I do think you look at offensive tackle, you have Cam Robinson, you have Jawaan Taylor, They probably do want to fortify that position long term, though. They brought in Josh Wells to be their swing tackle in 2023, so they've got some depth at the position. But I think looking at the future of the position, the Jaguars might get aggressive to go get a guy. If they don't go get a guy early on, I think Warren McClendon is a quality candidate a little bit later in the draft for them. Love to know what y'all think. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Let me know what you think about Warren McClendon, what the Jaguars are doing at tackle. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can hit that like and subscribe button as well. If you're on your podcast platform of choice, please subscribe and review. Really appreciate your support, Duval. Have a good weekend.